welcome back. I'm Justin Gambrell. Today, we're going to be talking about the Dobro. Now, we do talk about the Dobro every time we're here for these videos, but today, we're going to be a little more talking, a little less playing, and we're going to focus on some theory of kind of how we play, why we do certain things, this time focusing on sliding. Now, I say it in probably, if not every single one of my videos, I start saying, yeah, I slide into this note, slide into this, slide into the chord. And I'm always saying, we're going to slide. You know, be that just a small slide to a note, full slide to a chord. We're sliding. That's the Dobro. We're sliding. And so I want to spend today just talking for a short little bit about why we slide, how we slide, why it's important, and I'm going to take it from a handful of different angles. The first of which is the one I always say in my videos, and if you've been watching for a while, this is not going to be new, and you're probably going to be more annoyed that I sound like a broken record, but I'm going to put it together here and expand a little bit more. It's that this is unique to Dobro. Out of our 6 main bluegrass instruments, we're the only one that can really easily slide well. That comes from, we got the steel, we've got the elevated strings that we're not playing on frets. So I can slide as much as I want, going up and down the entire neck. Because I'm a multi-instrumentalist, I picked up the good or bad habit, I don't know who you're talking to, of carrying things over between instruments. Some of my habits from one go to another instrument. So when I play guitar, I'll play a lick similar to Dobro, and I'll slide a whole bunch. You can make it work, but it doesn't sound the same. You know, when you go fast, you can, but it's very staircase, because you only have notes where there's frets. So you got to make it fast enough that you're getting between, that it doesn't sound super choppy from one point to the next. But on Dobro, I can hit all the pitches in between, so it's a full slide. I can play it fast, like other instruments. I can play it slow. And that's just something none of the rest can do. And I'm always a big proponent of saying whatever it is that your instrument can do best, do it. We like to be able to show off, and that's something that nobody else can do. It's simple, it's easy in a lot of cases, you know, when we've talked about some of the easier backups that you can do with sliding, and it's unique. You do a little bit and people go, whoa, that's cool, because their instrument can't do that. And so the first and biggest reason why we slide is because we can. The second reason kind of stems off of that. And that is that our slide is our character. You know, when we talk about talking, we all have inflections. You know, if you're going to talk to Siri on your phone, it's going to sound a little robotic at times. It's not real. There's not real emotion and heart behind it. It's that robot talk. The words are coming, but there's nothing behind it. We have accents depending on where you're from in the world. We've got different emotions that come out, whether you won't trying to crack a joke, be cutthroat, and annoy someone by being mean, or you're trying to be comforting. We've got different inflections in our voice that bring that out, and we've learned that habit by just talking and having conversation. The same thing translates into music. If you've ever watched somebody play a keyboard, and on the keyboard they flick through all their settings and they hit like strings or guitar, and then they play it and you're like, I can tell it's a guitar, but it's so automated. It's so unreal sounding. That's that inflection, that heart, what we get by just bonding with our instrument and moving it in ways that get that emotion across. I can play this where I go, it sounds in your face, a little gritty. And then I can play something very similar that just sounds so pretty. And the choice that I had there isn't going to be the prettiest, but the way how it is sounds different than just. And so sliding is probably the easiest way that we can add emotion to our instrument. Add that little character. I like spunk or grit, words I like to describe it. Because I don't always play all the pretty stuff all the time. I like getting in your face. And so sliding, and first, is just something unique to us. But second is the coolest way, in my opinion, that we add character to what we're playing, to remind that we're a real person holding an instrument and not just some computer playing automated notes that exist. The third reason takes this in a slightly different direction to some of the theory behind it. And this actually has to do with tuning, how our instrument sounds to the ear. Now, I actually grew up all the way through grade school and into college playing trombone at school. And trombone has its similarities to dobro in how you're sliding around. And one thing that I was taught was when you're holding notes out for a long time, to move the slide on the trombone just ever so slightly back and forth. Because on instruments like these, I didn't have a factory or a luthier very precisely put in every fret. I mean, they did on this instrument, but I'm not playing on that fret to just have where they precisely did it. I'm trying to figure this out by just getting right about with my steel, and we can get really good at that. But if you're just slightly off, it can sound slightly off. And most people are not going to hear that, but they might if you look and listen really closely. But what can actually happen is if we just ever so slightly move the steel back and forth, it still sounds like one note and still gets that tuning right enough. Like, you know it's the note, but it tricks the ear that even though you're not playing in one exact spot the whole time, it sounds kind of like you are, and it sounds good, it sounds in tune. And so sliding, in my opinion of it, can count as the sliding all the way up to the note. But then is also just that ever so slight move of your left hand. I don't even when I'm doing it here, I don't know if that fully comes across on the camera because of how slight it ends up being at times. That we're just gonna stick to it. And so sliding up can help your ear go, not it, that's it. And then we want to keep that movement going with the steel because it just helps it sound a little more in tune and blending well. Because I can't guarantee that I'm going to be perfectly in tune. And it's actually cool in some ways too, because if my instrument is out of tune because it got cold, it got hit or something, and it's mid-song, you can kind of fix your tuning yourself a little bit by just hearing what sounds right and listening well. So sliding helps us to do that. So in my opinion, those are three of the kind of big reasons why we want to slide as much as we do. It's unique to us. It adds to our character and demonstrates our character. And it can just kind of help you find the right tuning, find the right note. I can even fake it if I don't know what the chord is. I can just look like I'm playing a large slide. And then it's like, not it, not it, not it, not it. That's the chord everyone's playing. And so, fake it till you make it. And sliding is great for that. So then practically a little bit, how are we sliding? I mean, at the end of the day, it is just you're keeping your steel down as you go. I tend to try to be a little floaty with it on songs that I do want to slide a bit more. That if I'm moving on one string, I might not pick up my steel as much as I could. There's some songs you don't really want to slide tons. But you can learn to just get a little floaty. Still hitting the right notes, still getting from one point to the next in good timing. You don't want to be too all over the place. But we go from one place to the next. And then the big thing that comes from this, and this is that last point that I was making of those 3 reasons, is that we want this kind of continual movement on our instrument. When I'm playing, there is rarely, if ever, a time that my left hand just stops moving. Like maybe if I'm playing something super open and I just let it rest right next to me. But I'm either flying through scales, playing different notes, moving between chords, or even if I'm on one chord, I'm not going, okay, this is it, left hand stays still, but I do that slight movement, that slight wiggling back and forth to just kind of add that little character and flow and all the tuning and stuff like that comes from it. And so that's just a habit that you'll hopefully begin to pick up. At first, you kind of have to remind yourself, and then at some point it becomes second nature. And I forget that every time I'm holding a note, I'm just moving it just ever so slightly. That helps the note ring out longer. It gives it better sound. You have control over it a little bit more when you're still moving because you're just activating your muscles and all of that. But I like to make that a second habit of just this continual movement. Or if I'm moving to a next string and I also am moving frets of moving up and over. So like a D to a G, I'm playing D, 3rd fret, 2nd string. And I want to go up to the upper G, it's like, because it helps with the movement. And you'll just begin to make these more natural. And so now that I'm starting to circle around and around and say the same things over and over again, that's kind of the idea. And I'm sure a lot of you have more questions. Sliding is the foundation of our instrument. The whole piece in our hand is called the steel, the slide, whatever you end up calling this sometimes. And we want to know how to do it well. That's part of why we do it. And when it comes up in videos, these are some of the reasons why I'm telling you, slide into this note, try sliding into this, see about how these slides work. That's just some of the theory behind it. So if you have any more questions about aspects of sliding or something particular about sliding, please put those comments below and I'll try to answer those if they come up and are a quick answer, or maybe that requires a whole new video, and I'll try to get on top of that. If you like this video, please hit that like button. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed, and thank you if you have done some of those things. Those greatly help me as a channel and to continue growing. And I hope that you can take this video to go out, to practice, to use it more. And as always, pick wisely. Thanks.